heart, be acceptable in Yahweh's sight. He is our strength and our Redeemer, and it is in His name, which is His authority, that we praise, proclaim, reject, and protect today's message. Amen. Hola, mi nombre es Kofi. ¿Cómo está? Bonjour, je m'appelle Kofi. Ça va? Ni hao, namaste. Kitcheria, Ohio. I see you. Kamsamida, Wagwan, Aloha, Ciao, Habarigani, Aguaba, Madaase, Etesen, Jambo, Bibini Kofi, Nina Faraku, Katana Wewe, Boker Tov, Boker Tab, Grand Rising, Bakwadata, Barakala, Chemihava, Atanai Kwabai, Kwahela Katsumi to Christ, Mashalam He, Achaba, Yahashvel, Yahava Achaba, Teda, Achet Atzayan. Hello, everybody. I am Pastor Kofi, Pastor Servant to Christ, where we are always changing lives one mind at a time, being a voice of the voiceless and speaking the unspoken. We appreciate your presence on this rising. Thank you for being on with us today. One more again, we're excited. We're thankful. We're grateful. It is a Sunday. Sundays normally we go a little longer. And sorry, YouTube. Hold on one second. As much info as possible. But thank you everybody who was on with us yesterday. Once again, to the brothers, feel free to check out the recording if you weren't able to make last night. And we'll be back on track for this Saturday coming up to make sure we have a men's meeting. I may not be present because I have a family obligation that more than likely is going to have me be absent. That being said, please, brothers, make sure that you're on, and I'll reach out to some of our ministerial staff, make sure that will be covered for that day. But thank you to everybody who's coming in. We appreciate love you. Take time out to check out your brothers and sisters. Do not forget that this week coming up, we're going to go right back into our weekly Zoom sessions for our regions. So you guys should know the dates and everything by now. Should be used to getting your emails and checking those throughout the day. Starting tomorrow, which is Monday, we should have a regional meeting for everybody who is in the Northeast region at 7 p.m. Eastern New York time. That's Maine, Vermont, Connecticut, Massachusetts, New York, Delaware, Rhode Island, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Maryland, Washington, D.C., Virginia, and somewhere in there if I missed you. That should be you guys tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern New York time. So prayerfully we'll see you all then. And we're thankful and grateful to have you all on right now. Alrighty, but let's go ahead and get into today. Oh, and by the way, I'm going to make sure that I show up. It's been a minute for myself as well. We've been promoting it, but hopefully you guys, for those of you who are, you should be getting a Google Calendar invite for it anyways, but for those of you who maybe have never been part of it, there's a group that we have called When Life Happens. Minister Elisha is over it. So I plan on being there today, and prayerfully, if you can join me, we'd love to have you there with us. So if you have time today, 2 p.m. Eastern New York time, I'm not even sure how much I'll be able to speak or anything. I'm just coming to support and to get some support from the group. It's kind of a support group where we can kind of let some things air out and look at some things, even sometimes people going through grief and stuff, just to kind of see where we're at. So if you'd like to join me today, we'd love to have you. I'll probably send out some the Zoom information to you guys throughout the day, but many of you should automatically get a Google Calendar invite anyway. So prayerfully we'll see you guys there, and prayerfully we'll be able to support Minister Elisha in that important part of what happens in our community. We always talk about people offering themselves, doing certain things like that, so why not make sure that we're there today, if you can be. But once again, we give our honor and praise to you. We give our praise and honor for my wife, the Honorable Amma, who lives a life that's able to be honored. We thank you all for being on today. Appreciate of you. Thank you if you're joining us on the podcast, join us later on Clapper, if you're with us on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok. Thank you so much for being on with us. Let's say hello to everybody. We'll get ready to do our Bible pledge, and then we're going to jump right in. We got some history. We're going to do some history lessons today. Praise Yahweh. Yes, even in preaching and proclaiming, we're supposed to make sure that we give not only his story, but really the story, really Yah's story, and which includes our story. That being said, prayerfully, you guys are ready. We're going to go a little in-depth today. Amen. So we're going to get ready to do our Bible pledge. But before we do that, let's say hello to everybody real quick. Once again, how you doing, Beck? How you doing, Sister Knight? How you doing, Bruda? DB, Mike Mass, Nehemiah, or Nehemiah. How you doing? Thanks for being part of the community. Takara, DB. I'm sorry if I used the wrong dialect. I'm not sure which dialect you speak. How you doing, Thomas? How you doing, Yasper? How you doing, Sister Monica? Everybody, come on in. How you doing, Brother Lamar? Amen. Achet Jonaki. And by the way, thank you. I did see, some of the stuff coming in for Feast of Tabernacles. So we did have our Feast of Tabernacles meeting. We're going to keep having them on Saturdays at 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern New York time. So hopefully you guys can join us for that. Y'all should read Quran for yourself rather than hearing people's claims online. Okay, cool. How you doing, Haj? Thank you so much for making it a point to say hello. If that's your way of saying hello, we appreciate you. Love you, and thank you, and much love to you, even if the Quran that you have shows that you are supposed to make sure that you down somebody before you actually know anything about them. So I thank you for being on and showing your true self, and love you anyways. Right? How you doing, Sister TC? How you doing, King D252? I think I said hello, Pearl. Thanks for the love, by the way. How you doing, Mad Bear? And Lottie Dottie and everybody. All right, how you doing, Michael? Everybody. Baby girl gift. Excuse me if I missed you. I'm not sure if I got everybody. I think I said DB, Mike Mass. If I missed you once again, please forgive me. We're excited. Oh, Takara is Takara DB? Hold up. I mean, not DB, TC. No, it's two different. No, wait. This thing is showing different pictures for you guys. Hold on. Okay, it is. Okay, sorry about that. I didn't know. I didn't even realize one and the same. Forgive me. Okay. All right. I was trying to see if I can recall that. All righty. Okay, here we go. Let's go ahead and do our Bible pledge. If you're able to stand to your feet and reverence the word of Jehovah in any kind of way, we thank you for doing so. How you doing, Sister Serlene? Praise Jehovah for you. Amen. Alrighty. So we thank you all. Appreciate, love you. And we're excited at what Jehovah is doing and the growth and everything that's happening. Let's go ahead and get into the word for today. Thank you to the ministerial staff, by the way, that came out for ministerial prayer. And thank you for everybody who continues to pray for each and every one of us. And we pray for you as well. How you doing? Was that Earl or Earlene? Excuse me. Thank you for being part of the community, and thanks for the love. All right, we're going to say our Bible pledge real quick, and we'll get into today's lesson, today's message, and prayerfully this blesses you, because we're going to talk about where we come from, where others come from, and why we think so terribly of ourselves. Sometimes we need to go there, so just going to be honest with you, it's going to be a little rough, not just for whatever your colonial or social construct is, if you're considered to be white, black, or in between. It's going to be a little rough at times, but we're going to talk about truth, okay? So just get your mind right. If you're coming in and you never heard me before, give me at least a little bit of time to speak. You might actually hear my heart and hear the facts and hear the context and get contextual facts from a cultural perspective, and see where my heart is. My passion is not to tell you why you're evil, but tell you that there's evil afoot and that we should stop standing on it as a foundation. We should make sure that we go ahead and we stand on righteousness together as one. So that is what I'm called to do ultimately, right? And to be a voice to the voiceless and speak the unspoken instead of some unspoken evil that's going on, some lies, because a half-truth is always a whole lie. And today we're going to destroy some half-truths so that you can live in full truth. Or you can still decide to live in half-truth if you want, but it'll be your decision based off of what you actually see. So that will, if you decide to be in sin versus being ignorant of the sin you're living in, then that's what's going to happen today. But we're not going to let the wool continue to be over your eyes. Praise y'all. Alrighty. Okay, so here we go. Okay. So back to what so here's our Bible pledge. You just repeat after me. This is my Bible. This is my sword. And this will I trust. For Yahshua is Lord. No other God, or no sort of God, no sort of God shall ever be heard. For this is my Bible, and this is Yah's word. Hasham Yehovah, Amen. In Yehovah's name, amen. All right, Grand Rising, how you doing, Sister Deborah? All right, so here we go. Today, the title of today's message, if you will, is simply put, is they are not who they say they are. Yeah, they are not who they say they are. Now, I'm not going to where everybody probably thinks I'm going when I say that, right? But we're going to talk about this Mediterranean, Eurocentric, North African, Arabian mindset, right? And we're going to talk about today how you think you are who you are, not realizing what has happened. You are supposed to be more than a conqueror, according to canon. And yet, we live with the mindset of our conquerors. So they are not who they say they are. We want to put some things out to you today, right? I'm not talking about going to of the modern Jewish person. I'm not talking about, even though some of this you can say affects these things for sure. I'm not going straight to the Rothschilds or the Rockefellers. I'm not going straight to the beast, even though obviously the beast is a part of this. I'm not going. I want to be specific in what we talk about today, because many of us are not recognizing that we get our information from somebody else quite often, right? I see you see. Okay, yeah, are they ever? All right, and so a lot of us, including those we're going to talk about today, many of them who are living their life as pawns. They're not the king, they're not the queen, they're not the bishop, right? They're not the knight, they're not the rook, right? A lot of these persons are pawns, and their responsibility is to make sure that they move 2 steps at first, thinking they're doing something, and then move 1 step at a time. And sure, if they do make it to the end of the board, their responsibility is to make sure that the pieces that you really want come back into play and they go away. So even we talk about this quite often. And how you doing, Rufus? We make it a point to speak on this quite often. That a lot of persons don't hear me on this. A lot of persons don't catch this. They don't receive this. But I make it a point to talk about, even when we talk about racism, which is real. It's a system based off of competition, and a competition based off of color, right? Racism. I know people want to say it's a system, and who's in charge of the system, and this person. So racism is a system based off of competition, and depending on how you use the competition is how we would define the racism, right? But so it's real, right? And we know that chauvinism is real, and male chauvinism is real, which means misogyny is real. What that also means, misandry is real, and feminism has a real result, and all these different things, right? But we get our information from a lot of persons that don't actually tell us the truth about the origins. Once again, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against the origins, against the foundation of these items. We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against the principalities, against the origin. And we don't know who we are. We don't know about original Adam or original man. We don't know about original Japheth or Yaphat, excuse me. We don't know about original Ham or Ham. We don't know about original Shem or Sham. We just go by what somebody else continues to tell us. I ain't doing Island Boy. Long time to talk to. Feels like hopefully all's been well. So today, and can you guys hear me, by the way? I'm sorry. Can everybody see me okay? Seems like we might have signal issue. I know that they keep our numbers lower and try to get it lower and lower and lower, and some of it too, because, well, anyway. But okay, as long as everybody can hear me, see me, it's cool. All right. So we have to recognize and think. We have to realize and recognize very quickly that we have been taught untruths, and we don't think that we are who. Like, this is one of the biggest truths, one of the biggest whammies that might hit many of us, right? But this is not. But this is it. Like, this might really mess with you, but this is something that you need to hear. You ready? The reason why they never want you to even, right? Like, they're always telling you, you are who you say you are. You don't have any history. But one of the biggest things we need to recognize is that they are not who they say they are, right? And this is important because you must recognize, even in all the stuff that they allow us to fight over, are you Negro? Are you Israel? Are you African? Are you African American? Are you Afrocentric? Are you part of this group, that group, etc.? All of this stuff that they're doing, but they never want you to pick apart who they are, right? Like, if somebody tells you they're Spanish, you just say, okay, you're Spanish. How you doing, Sister Nadine? Right? How you doing, Omika? Right? If you say that you are from somewhere, you got a part and parcel that you gotta say, well, my mom, blah blah. If you ask somebody, right? I'm not talking about white today. I'm talking about a specific group. What is ethnicos or ethnic or even heathen? Remember, you got to be careful when a person calls you ethnic, because ethnic, it means heathen. It comes from ethnikos, a Greek word. We're going to deal with a lot of etymology today. Right? You have to, okay, whatever. Yeah. So you have to realize, you have to think to yourself, right, that there's a lot of stuff. You were told, right, I'm not talking about the word white, because white is not even a color, and white wasn't even something that anybody cared to call themselves until recently in time. And white, it means literally the absence of color. It means to be bright. It means to be clear. It means to be see-through. Polar bear fur is white because it's clear, right? White blood cells are white because they are clear. You can see through them. Snowflakes are white. Why? Because they're clear. You can see through them. White is not a color, as much as we've been told that it is. Right? If you can see the color, right, then it's not white. Right? Or the whiter it is, the less color there is, the clearer it is. But white is the absence of color. Okay. So I'm not talking about white. Because evil is not just there for white. You can be so-called black and still be evil. You can be Mediterranean and still be evil. Right? You can be African and still be evil. You can be from Madagascar on the continent of Africa and still be evil. Right? And still do evil and still be involved with evil and still get outside of a righteous culture and do evil. You can be ignorant and be evil. So I want to be very clear. I'm not dealing with white, but I want to deal with some stuff, and that means that color will appear in this. Why? Because it's part of a real conversation. Okay. So I think I've made that clear enough. For those that it's not clear enough to, I'm sorry. It is what it is. Okay. All right. And how you doing, Allison? So now, we're going to talk about they are not who they say they are. And we're going to deal with Spain mostly today. Yes, they try to flip the script and say black is the absence of color. Yeah, right? That's a new thing now that everybody, including the Moors, are doing. Because Moors, and I get it, because they're trying to say, hey, we want to be sovereign. So their sovereignty is saying, well, since white gets the right to do things, they want to be white, so they figure they'll get the right to do things. But that's not how sovereignty works. Sovereignty still should be based off of truth. How you doing, Ronald? Thanks for being part of the community. He said, simply revert to the times of the first creation to prohibit the conversation of race. But once again, race is a competition. So racism, once again, is a system based off of competition. Racism is not only color-based, but can be, right? Like, for example, technically, if there's a system set up, because we don't think about this, but there are systems that are misogynist, and there are also systems that are misandrous. Let's just talk about the church, for example, right? Right? So let's just talk about the church, for example. In the church, there are definitely churches to where men are everything, women ain't supposed to say nothing. Women are supposed to wear doilies on their head. They're not supposed to say anything. If they do say anything, they got to sit down. They can't get on the pulpit. They can't do this. They can't do that, etc. Right? Right? Very misogynistic stuff that happens. On the flip side, in the same churches, in the same groups, there are also misandrous churches, where if you go there, right? Hello, Vinto. Is that the best you got? How you doing? So there are also churches, right, or places where people go to worship, and persons who will do all this stuff, and they'll have all these different information that comes up, and you'll see a lot of sisters. It's the sisters that preaching this and that. And maybe you see a couple of deacons and brothers, but mainly the sisters are getting everything and running everything as well, right? So technically, even though you would just think misogynist, misandrous, technically that's what? Racism, because it's a competition. It's become a competition, and then the competition is geared towards one side or than the other. If it's a system, IS makes it a system. So what race? A competition. You were to say to a child, let's have a race, wouldn't think color. If you say to an adult level, they would think, you're talking about running, but in the back of their mind, they would also think color. See? So, once again, I don't know what's going on with signal today, y'all. I'm trying my best to give you guys a better signal than what you normally have. And this one doesn't seem to be working either. I think we just having issues with them trying to make sure we can't come on. Give me a second. I'm going to try and take the guys off of this. Hold on. Okay. So hopefully this works better. I'm not sure. We'll see. But, sorry. Let's see now. So I'm not sure. Hopefully this works better. I'm not sure. Signal's going in and out. We're having issues. As usual, it is what it is. We had these recordings, so prayerfully you guys can catch the recordings later on. So where we are. How much did I pay for the live stream? Okay. Oh, okay. All right. Anyway, okay. Thank you. Hello, how you doing? So where were we at? Let's see, where were we at? So we're gonna talk about the story of mankind. We're going to talk about his story, the story, and our story, and we're going to see truth. And so, just letting you know, before somebody goes in there, he's being racist, blah blah. We made it a point to let you know. And those of you who've been with us long enough, you know, I don't care about your color, even if you're black in colorism, if you are white versus black, if you are black versus white. You've come to the wrong spot if you're looking for me to uphold that. But I'm not going to lie to you about what somebody looks like either. Because that's a lie as well. To deny what somebody looks like is the same as to lie, right? A half truth is always a whole lie. So if somebody says, I don't see color, you're a liar. Or you have something that's wrong with you and we need to see if we can get it corrected. Because everything is designed to be able to look at color to a certain degree, right? Right? If a bird sees a color, it tells us something. If you see certain colors outside on the plants, you should know something is poisonous or not. Right? Like it's okay to see color. If you notice that I have different colors on this outfit, it doesn't mean that you're a bad person. All right? If you like an Irish lass's red hair, it doesn't mean that you're evil because you would acknowledge that she has red hair. Once again, it's usually people have this problem when it comes to us because persons have been taught so much for a long time. The standard was to be anti-us that now to say that it's a really weird thing a person is doing to say, I don't even see it. Right? Right? Sir Otto's on here just trying to cut up and act a fool. All right? If we were ever be around each other, I promise you, you're probably not as tall as me. Right? That being said, though, you have a great day, sir. I'm done. I'm done with you. Right? You have a great day. Hola, ¿cómo está, mi hermana? Right? How you doing, Sister Sherry? So, when we talk about this stuff today, we're going to talk about it from a perspective, a truthful perspective. And if dealing with this stuff is too much for you to deal with, hey, it is what it is. All right. So when we talk about Spain, Spain has to be talked about specifically because if we're going to speak on Spain, first and foremost, Spain deals with what? What does Spain deal with? Spain is dealing with something that wasn't even known as Spain for the longest of times, right? So Spain is dealing with something, right, that wasn't even considered to be a country. I know people are used to this word called Spanish, but once again, we'll get into this. Language is based off of culture itself. And so Spain wasn't even Spanish, or what you think Spanish is. Spanish persons are not even Spanish. And so you have to recognize that Spain actually was under Carthaginian rule for a really long time. Right? For about 1,000 to 2,000 years. I'm one that would say more so towards 1,000 or 2,000 years. But for 1,000, 2,000 years, Carthage is over Spain. Then, eventually, the Greco-Roman Empire ends up over it. The Greco-Roman Empire, they lose, right? And when they lose to the Germans. And then when they lose to the Germans, then the Germans end up losing back to the Moors, or to those who are many of them from Carthage or Carthaginian, or at least mixed with Carthaginian, have Carthaginian roots. So, and then the Moors, they're over Spain from 700s till 1491. Not all of Spain, to be honest, but enough of it to where you would consider it to be a Moorish territory. And so we have to have an interesting conversation because they are not who they say they are. We're going to use Spain as a launching pad for truth today. We're going to use Spain for a trampoline to jump into other nations that are busy telling you that they are this, they are that, and don't know who they are. And because we're learning from them, these persons who don't know who they are, right? And because well, you don't have questions. You have ad hominem. Once you get out of ad hominem and you're respectful enough and mature enough, then yes, you can ask stuff. You can always ask stuff, but you're more concerned about being a jerk than you are about actually asking questions, right? So if you're ready to get out of that and actually treat people with respect, then I'll treat you with respect, right? As a matter of fact, I've been respecting you anyways, because I could be more disrespectful if you take that as disrespecting what I was. Right, but for you to make the stuff and say the things and say that that's claims and this and that or whatever, you're being a jerk. So I've already reported you for harassment and stuff, If you like me to just go ahead and delete you off and stuff and then really report you as something else, then feel free to, right? But I have no problem answering questions if they're actually questions. So that being said, right, you have to realize and recognize that when we're talking about this stuff, we're not thinking about actually being what? About like who we are and who we're learning from. You have learned from somebody who has hidden who they are. If they have hidden who they are from you, what makes you think that you would be able to learn who you are through them? Right? Not just only that they're trying to hide themselves, but I'm talking about if they have hidden who they are from you. Right? If they are hidden who they are from you, then what makes you think that they wouldn't hide who you are from you? Or even hide who you are from them? How you doing, Minister Shanti? All right? So, they are not who they say they are. How you doing, Monster? And we have to recognize what that means. Yeah, I'll just put another one on there for you, too. No problem. I got you. So we have to recognize who these persons are. And that a lot of these persons are not who they claim to be, and therefore they're teaching us things. So watch this. So if we're going to go into we're going to go into a certain time frame where Spain is going back and forth. Let's go all the way to, we just mentioned that the Moors are in charge of Spain basically from the 700s to 1491, right? 1491 is when they defeat the last great Moorish king of that area. Then in 1492 is when they send Christopher Columbus to sail the ocean blue to get slaves with a Hebrew interpreter. And then in 1493 is when they make the doctrine of discovery official, which is basically the doctrine that says that if we find land and we cannot find a white male Roman Catholic, then that means that we have discovered your land, because everybody else is not considered to be a human being according to our standards, right? So this is the era of time. Now we're going to be talking about 700 years or so, but we're kind of dealing with stuff where things are starting to come into this arena, right? And we're starting to lose who is who. And we've been taught now, like, to be honest with you, we don't really know. Like, persons don't say, you know, the 600s, blah, 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 and the 700s, right? People lie about what happened in the 1800s. They lie about what happened in the 1700s. They won't even tell you the truth that there was slave trade going on in the 1600s. And in the 1500s, and in the 1400s, right? So we're going into some territory where we're aware that something happened, but we really don't listen to anything outside of, maybe a movie or so. And even in the movie, we don't even care about what's going on as far as if it's true or not, because we've come to see something based off of a true story, and we have suspension of disbelief, right? How you doing, Auntie Marion? Great to have it for you. I sent you a question on text about Jimmy. I don't know if you responded or not. You might have, for a born day and trying to figure out something to send. So if you could let me know, or get back to me when you get a chance. I know you're probably busy running around as usual, taking care of family as you always do. So if we're talking about the Arabian invasion of Africa, yes, the Arabian, because we got to talk about that as well. Because in your mind, anybody who's Arabic, right, which by the way, if you know what Arabic used to mean, Arabic used to just mean nomadic. So technically anybody who moved. Oh, you did? Okay, thank you. So anybody who moved, so I'll check it out as soon as I get a chance. Sorry about that. Anybody who moved or moves is, or was nomadic and moved around a lot, they were considered to be Arabic. Now what's happened is somebody has appropriated Arabic. So when you hear Arabic, you only think about a particular type of person, and you don't think about an Arab having color. But you think about an Arab being somebody who is considered to be, by modern standards, white. Yes, white. Right? So just check. So this is what, when we say Arabic, you got to realize that there's an Arabic invasion that happens, and many of us don't look at North Africa correctly because you think that Egypt is North African, but Egypt, right, is a Greco-Roman word. An Egyptian is not an African. Somebody who is Kemetic is an African. right? And Africans did used to live there. Kemetics did used to live there, right? They live south in there still to this day, but they don't live north. Morocco didn't exist in the time frame that we're talking about. When the Moorish Sultan, El Morocco, said it, see, we do even do this, our Moorish brethren, this is where they get these white terms from. They said, we want to be white now. We as black people should turn into white people. They don't recognize that the Moors, who they're talking about, were not even the Moors back then. Moor used to be in black, right? By the time that Morocco deals with the United States of America in the late 1700s, Morocco is led by Arabic persons. And all the black persons have basically fled or fought or defended their territory to where they are now in the Saharan desert or further down, right? That's why you hear stuff like Saharan, or you'll hear there is sub-Saharan Africa. What do they mean by that? They mean Africa that's still black. Right? Like, we're not going to dance around it today. Let's just be honest. Let's just be forthright. When they say sub-Saharan Africa, they're saying it's the part of Africa that's what? That's black still. That's dark. And so when Israel even had been scattered earlier, Israel has scattered and gets pushed down further, which is why later on maps in the 1600s, 1700s, 1800s, Negro land, and then Guinea, you'll see that the scattered Israelites have made their way down to places like Nigeria and Ghana and down that far. Weren't called that back then. Yeah, right? They were still renaming territories back then. But what we would call today, I'm going to use modern terms, but you got to realize a lot of these modern terms for things didn't exist yet. How you doing, Cheska? Perfectly, I'm saying that correctly. How you doing, love, peace, blessing? How you doing, Prince? How you doing, Danny? Thanks for being part of the community. So they are not who they say they are. This is how you get persons who say, I'm African, and you look at them and you say, you're African. They'll say, yeah, I'm more African than you. No, you're not. Even the term Africa, by the way, is because there was a small group of Africans, so-called Africans, called Afrique. And Romans conquered those persons. And when they conquered them, supposedly, and invaded them and took over, right, and appropriated their culture, they started calling themselves things like Afrikaners. And so since Afrikaners conquered this little small group of Africans, everybody on the continent became Africans. See, you are not, so therefore, you are not African unless you are of Afrique descent. But not everybody is of Afrique descent. So if you call me an African, I am proud to be called an African in a sense. But to be honest with you, it is somewhat actually insulting. I get what they mean in the free Africa, so I have no problem saying I'm Afrocentric, free Africa, all this stuff. How you doing, double OG, triple OG? I have no problem with all this stuff, but just recognize and realize that really you're not talking about my culture necessarily. See, the persons who won't even tell you the truth about who they are, they'll never tell you the truth about who you are. Matter of fact, when they tried to conquer you, they tried to tell you are nothing. Shalom, how you doing? Peace. Is it John? I don't know if you go by John or Yechanan or Yechan, but how you doing, John? So here we are dealing with a lot of these issues. Not knowing who we are. Sometimes, if we be honest, not caring who we are. Because we only care about what master said. And master is supposed to mean teacher. And when your master won't even teach his own who they are, you should never trust him to teach who you are. Matter of fact, to be honest, it's not his responsibility to teach you who you are. I hear you, Kim. Yeah. It's not their responsibility. I shouldn't, see, this is why I say, why am I sending my child to their school? Make sure your child goes to school for what? What are they going to learn about themselves? What are they going to learn about their culture? What's a team? Nothing. All right. So we have to realize that they're Arabians, who they themselves are French. It's important to catch that because French are Visigoths. Hold on to that. So though many of them who are over there are French, they're Visigoths. If you go, matter of fact, when I speak and I'll be somewhere and I'll be like, I'll be talking to Solomon and I'll be like, attends, passion. All right, donne-moi ta main, right? Like stuff like that, like, when viens passer, tu vas, va. Right? 5 minutes. When I say things like that and I speak French, I speak a little bit of French, like, right, a little bit of le français. right? Just a small bit. When I do, I'll be in certain places, and sometimes persons who are from Morocco, who don't look like us, but they're from Morocco, supposedly, and they'll say, "Oh, you speak French?" And I'll say, "Well, my wife is actually the one that's fluent, but I've learned enough. We want our son to know it, and to know enough about it. How you doing, Bree? Sister Bree? We want our son to know it. We want him to we homeschool him as well. So, and they'll go, "Oh, okay." And I say, "Well, I'm from Morocco. In Morocco, we speak Arabic, but Arabic is our second language." They'll tell you this outright. They'll say, "Arabic is our second language. French is our first." And then when I say, "I know," because I'm actually Moorish, I literally say that. And guess what the next thing that happens is? They usually turn their head and they walk away, or they go away, or just sit there with their thumbs twin, because they know what I'm saying is that you're not really a Moor. That's what I'm really telling them in that moment. And it's frustrating for them, or it's irritating if we were going to in-depth conversation about it. They probably feel like it wouldn't go anywhere. But when I say that, what I'm saying to them is, yeah, I know, and I'm actually a Moor. And I'm not saying that just because I'm a Moor or I'm black or black a Moor. I know where I come from. I actually know where my people come from. I know where they spread out to. I know who traveled where. I know who might have been enslaved here or there. I know who remained free. And so I can tell you with certainty, yes, I am that. And when I say that, right, a lot of persons don't know this. We had a former SOC member. They went on vacation over there, and they went and found out about. They went to Morocco, and they said that all of the persons who look like us would be just sitting there chilling, not really doing much, and then all of a sudden they pass by. Let's say they're, supposed to be sitting there and letting people in and out, and all of a sudden when we pass by, they stand up and they say, "Hey, what's up, brother? Right? Hey, what's up, sister? How you doing?" And then we would pass and finish with our pleasantries. They go right back to sitting down. Right? They say, "Welcome back," because they know who you are. Right? You are who Yah says you are. You are who we say you are. You are who you say you are. But they are not who they say they are. And you're not supposed to challenge that. You're not supposed to say, "How are you more African than me, but you're from South Africa?" And you, South African, we know that you guys colonized it. And we know that before there was a such thing as a birth certificate, which is a way of owning somebody, before there was a such thing as a birth certificate, we know that it didn't matter where you were born, but who you were born from. Right? See, there's a lot of stuff, there's a lot of weird stuff that goes on and we're not taught. It doesn't matter where you were born. If you're born in America, it doesn't make you an American. Somebody lied to you. Up until literally, like the last couple centuries before, nobody would have ever thought that if I am from England, but I'm born in South Africa, that I am South African. Nobody would have ever thought if I am from England, but I'm born in Australia, I am Australian. This is a new fabrication. How you doing, Sister Lily? Or I'm sorry, sorry, Lily. Excuse me. How you doing, Yakwadanya? Right? Like, this is a new thing. This is a new line, and we should be aware of it. So those who are Arabic, just remember, these Arabic persons who are going to say, "Oh yeah, we were this, and we're the Moors, and we're the real Arabs, and blah blah, and we're the real Muslims, and we're the real this." These Arabic persons are Visigoths. Don't forget that term. Very important in this, right? And we must recognize that when it comes to North Africa, there's a reason why North Africa is a lot lighter than South Africa ever is. Right? All of us were darker. You look at all our tombs. You look in ancient Carthage. You look in ancient Kemet. All the tombs are dark. You look in Kush. All the tombs are dark. But for some reason, the persons that live there now don't look like who's in those tombs. Right? There's a reason for that. All right. Those that remained in these North African areas, they took on a Visigoth version of being a Muslim. So many of you, and I'm not saying I am Muslim, but many of you who have even researched at all, if you have, many have not, they just talk bad about them. But if any of you have actually researched what being a Muslim is, you probably learned it through the lens of a Visigoth. right? I need you to catch these terms we're using, right? I'm going to use some ancient terms, and I'm trying to use as many modern terms as possible, but I need you to hear Visikoff first, because Visikoff is very important. Matter of fact, when I say Visikoff, you must comprehend when I'm talking about Visikoff, I'm talking about what's part of that word, Gothic. So when you see something that's Gothic, you must recognize that's part of somebody's culture. So if somebody dresses up like a witch and you call it Gothic, a Gothic look, you're saying that it's what? That it's part of somebody's ancient religiosity, part of their culture. Right? This is why you can have somebody saying that they are going to have a harvest day, Hallows Eve, Halloween, and somehow, some way they have Dia del Muerte. And that's supposed to be what you're supposed to do. That's a Gothic thing. And you don't think of that person having Gothic blood or Gothic ties or Gothic culture, but that's Gothic because it comes from Visigoths. Remember this name. Remember this title we're saying over and over again. How you doing, Audrey? Right? These Visigoths, they don't know who they are, or they are not who they say they are. Matter of fact, when you talk about Libya, right? Libya, to be honest with you, don't even have the original persons there, because they were taken over by these Visigoths. They began to occupy Libya in 643 AC, or AY, if you will, or AD for some of you. 643 AC, Libya is occupied. They didn't even get to Morocco until 681. And by the way, once again, the name Morocco doesn't exist. So it's important that we catch that these Visigoths are moving. We're going to find out who they are, right? Respect. You said that most people pay too much attention to their culture when they have never lived in that culture. I'm not sure. I don't know. Can you be specific? Because I don't want to assume. Because I actually do live in my culture. I actually do know where I come from. I actually do go back home. I'm not sure if you're speaking to somebody else. But once again, we're trying to reveal culture and where stuff comes from. But I'm not sure if that's what you meant. But thank you for being on. Hello. So it's 698 AC. We're going to find somebody who is... Oh, okay. Hello. Hello, jokes in the comments. Thank you for paying attention to him. I guess you like my lips. So in 698, they appoint Musa ibn Nasir to be governor of North Africa. Now, when I say they at this moment, it's actually really, we're talking about those who are actual Moors or Blackamoors. And how you doing, Sister Renee? Thank you, moderators. So in 698, they appoint, in 698, so when I say they, now I'm talking about Moors, Blackamoors, right? There's somebody named Musa ibn Nasir. Now, this is a very Muslim name, but to be honest, it's a very Israelite name. For example, you've heard of somebody even named Mansa Musa. A lot of persons don't know that Musa means Moses. How you doing, Cutie Pie? Thanks for being on. A lot of persons not sure that Musa, or didn't know that Musa means Moses. How you doing, Sister Benita? So, this person's actual name is Moses, right? But in 698, there's somebody that's appointed to be the governor of North Africa during this fight that's going on, and during these invasions, where we're trying to make sure that we can keep our culture and keep our dynamic. Thank you for the love, right? There's a lot of stuff that's going on here, and in 1698 they appoint Musa ibn Nasir, or I think use Musa Musa ibn Nasir, Nusayr. If I'm not pronouncing the Nasir part 100% correctly, please forgive me. My Arabic is not the greatest. Right, so Musa wanted to take over Spain, but they were not ready yet. Now Spain is, the Moors are already all over the place, so Spanish are already kind of held back. But Musa wants to be able to make sure that more of Spain, more of that area, this kind of goes back to the Carthaginian ways, because once again, those who you're thinking are Spanish are really Visigoths. The Visigoths just started showing up recently, about 300 years or so before he's appointed governor. And so what is you consider to be Spanish land now, they would have looked at as those persons have stolen our land. right? Just like when you go to Spain and you see all these big Moroccan built, you say Moroccan, they're not Moroccan, but Moorish, but or Muslim type of, you have the Muslim places of worship over there, or all these buildings that have a lot of Moorish foundations and a lot of Moorish shape to them, and a lot of Moorish, pillars or even lack thereof. You go to places like Crete and you think about it as being European, but it's Mediterranean. Even when they say Mediterranean, you really got to think about Carthaginian still to this day. Right? But that's all boring stuff. But they are not who they say they are, but you've learned from them, so you believe it, and you don't even know who you are, not realizing that you had something to do with that. How you doing, Shu Queen? How you doing, Sister Mignon? So, and guess what? Musa ibn Nasyar is from Yemen, which would be considered to be an Arabian peninsula. But he doesn't look like what you think an Arabic looks like. He's from Yemen. But you wouldn't think of him as being Yemeni, because you would think that Yemeni doesn't look like us. But he would have looked like you. Would have had your hair. Would have had your thought process. He was considered to be dark-skinned, extremely such. Right? That's where he would have been. Right? So this person that we're talking about, once again, they are not who they say they are. We're talking about, we're seeing things here. And we're going to show a description of him, but I just want y'all to catch some of this. I'm not sure how long we're going to be on today. We won't be on, I don't even know if we're going to make the full time, but we're going to try our best to give you what we need to in a short amount of time. I'm going to speed up a little bit here, but I'm trying to lay a foundation. How you doing, Remnant 144? So here we go. So Spain had Visigoths, as we just said, for the last 200 years or so before he shows up. 200 to 300 years. Right? And these are some of the people who say they are Spanish today. They're this, right? But the Spanish have Gothic ancestry. They are Visigoths. Right? Now, when we say Visigoth, what is a Gothic person? People act like Gothic is just a style. Now, what is a Gothic person? Who is a Gothic person? How you doing, Sister Shima? Who is a Visigoth? How you doing, Brother Raj? Right? You'll even see, for example, those of you who know about somebody named Vercingetorix. I don't know if you've heard about that name or not. He's somebody that almost defeated Julius Caesar, and only almost stepped on Rome's neck way back before they had a chance to really become full-blown Rome. Right? And Vercingetorix is a Gaul. He is Germanic. A Gothic person is an actual Germanic person. Right? You think that Germany means Germanic. But the actual Germanic person is the person who became France, is the person that became England, is the person that became Spain, right? Is the person that basically ended up taking over the Roman Empire, and therefore, so you even speak Germanic. English is a very Germanic language. Vater is father, right? Guten Tag, good day, right? Goodbye is literally God be with you. God is a Germanic term. God and good are interchangeable. Godspeed, good speed. God is a way of saying you can make whatever you want a God or something to be worshipped, which is why you have this term now that comes in your Bible in English, and you see a lot of different things that seem to be confusing because you don't know the original language. You only know the Germanic or Gothic language, the language of the dead, the language of those who cast spells, which is why you spell words. Very few cultures actually spell words. We use character, but you spell words in Gothic or English. Who is a Gothic? A Gothic, this is why you see persons and you see them with all the stuff, and you see Joker sometimes. When you saw the Joker, the modern Joker, and he had those really long things on his eyes, right? He had the really long points that came from his eyes, both down and up. That's a Gothic. That's a Germanic way of looking at something. And they love the Gothic. They love Hallows Eve because it's Germanic. Now, did they steal some things from people that they conquered? Sure. But they love these things. Those who were English, and there was no such thing as an Englishman at a certain point. They had to off the British even to have the Gothics completely take over there. Right? William the Bastard becomes William the Conqueror, takes over the actual British, who they called British because they called them brutish. They were saying they were brutish people over there. But these Germanic persons, these Gothic persons, were so brutish, so British, that they conquered the brutish, the British. Think about that. A lot of persons don't even know. The French armies were terribly awful in war. They used to tear everybody up. They came up with contraptions that you would be like, where did you get this from? The trebuchet. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. The trebuchet. Or trebuchet, but however you say it, right? Is one of the wildest things that ever come. They came up with stuff. They would take not just one cannonball, they would put 2 cannonballs in the cannon, tie it together with chains, make sure the cannonballs had spikes on it. Why do you need that? It was because that was something of their culture. They were Gothic. Jeanne d'Arc, Joan of Arc. She's thought of, even though she was crazy, probably couldn't read, was doing a lot of wild stuff, was out there, but she's thought of as being this great person because when she showed up to the battlefield, they won wars. This is why they made her a saint, is because they thought that they voted her to be a saint because they said that she could fight. She was willing to stand in some of the most bloody things that you would think a woman in their culture, a woman wouldn't do. So they made her a saint. This is Gothic. This is Visigoths. In your mind, Gothic is just some clothes. Gothic is you went to Hot Topic and you saw something. Gothic is you paint your nails. Not like Drake and them paint their nails, But you paint your nails black and you make them long and you're a guy and you paint your nails and you have long hair. Right? But that's a culture. It's a way of life for a country. That's what their countrymen do. How you doing, Dre? You think that crystal balls or something, but crystal balls, they took that stuff, right? They're crystal balls of persons who were in the Bible and stuff too. So I'm not saying it's only their culture, but crystal balls, the way that you look at them, they're very Gothic. Ouija boards, they're very Gothic. This is part of their culture. Christmas, very Gothic. Bring a tree and cut it from outside, but don't leave it in 2 sides because you got to have the tree, the idol, inside the house to worship and to keep life inside the house, and then you got to remove it from the house as soon as it starts to wilt. That's Gothic. The Visigoths. These are Frenchmen. These are Englishmen. Englishmen didn't exist. Frenchmen didn't exist. Normandy didn't exist before these persons did. They were the persons that Rome tried to take over, and eventually they were able to take over Rome. And so now you have romantic values, right? And the Romans took over the Greeks, so you have Greco-Roman values, but really you have Greco-Roman Visigothic values, right? You have Greek values. You want to be Greek. You want to get that Greek letter from high school. You want to make sure you got Greek stuff tattooed or even burned into your skin when you burn when you get into your fraternity. You want to be Roman, romantic, Roman antics. Not because it's actually anything that's going to help your relationship. You just want Roman antics. Right? Greco-Roman. And then outside of Greco-Roman, then you're Gothic. You speak Gothic language. You think as the Gothics do. It's important. That's why I was saying that name over and over again. The Spanish are from Goth or Gothic or Visigoth ancestry. The Spanish are not a real thing. The Spanish cannot tell you that, yes, Spanish is a language that always existed. Spanish is a mix of many different persons that conquered them, including Moors. And by the way, the Moors were not conquering persons just because they were righteous. They were conquering. See, once again, you need to be more than a conqueror. Don't just get on some, see, we were conquering y'all. We're going to conquer y'all one day. Don't be on that timing either. How you doing, Shebrew 412? Right? And these are German speakers. They were German speakers. When you hear Spanish, you're hearing part of Germanic language as well. Because Germans, remember, the Germans or the Visigoths, they're the ones who conquered the Romans. The Romans are supposed to be the ones who also conquered those who spoke Greek and those who spoke what? Latin. So if Spanish is a Latin language, if French is a Latin language mixed with Germanic language, it would only make sense because that's who they are. That's how they were conquered. That's what they were taught. That's what they are fed. And in essence is what we are fed. Unfortunately. All right. Amen. Amen, somebody. So now, this is where we start getting into some stuff. Right? These conquerors, right? So these conquerors, they came from Germany. They came from where the Visigoths were. That's what that's where they came from. Don't get it twisted. It was Gothic, Visigoths, Germanic persons who came over to Spain and took it from the Romans. When they broke down the Roman Empire, those who were still left in the Roman Empire and those who were still left from African former empires and stuff, and people who had mixed together, they got conquered by Germans. Right? This whole thing of German, remember, even World War I and World War II were both fighting basically against Germany. This is part of their culture. This is Gothic. You try to do the whole nice thing now. It's only a matter of time. It's part of their culture. When you see the the United States of America taking over all these places, that's Germanic. Britain took over all these places, they're Germanic. France doing what they did, they're Germanic. Portugal doing what they did, they're Germanic. Spain doing what they did, they're Germanic. Don't miss that. They're Visigoths. And Visigoths ultimately are from Yavat or Japheth. And many of them, even if they don't carry the bloodline, carry the mannerisms and the spirituality of Esau. And if they carry the spirituality of Esau, if you know from the book of Joshua, you'll recognize, we went over this in men's meeting a long time ago, and went over this in one of our live sessions a long time ago. Esau, that spirit, Esau was actually conquered or went underneath Canaan. So when you talk about some of the Canaanite values, you have to talk about some of the Esau type values. Right? This thing is connected. It's bigger. I'm mentioning what you might think is just color, but if you notice, I'm talking about actual branches of people. I'm talking about their actual nations. I'm talking about what they were really called before. Right? Don't get it twisted. We're not talking about just because they're white. We're talking about a spirit. Okay? All right. So, Musa, once again, right? Musa ibn, Musa ibn Nasayad, he at first wanted to go back in and take back what he considered to be ours. Right? He was going to go back in. But at first he was kind of afraid to do so because he didn't think his army was up to par. Right? But what happens is watch this. He eventually gets things together and is able to go in and sends them. So Musa sends in, Musa once again means Moses. Musa sends reconnaissance of 500 into Spain, led by somebody named Tarif or Tarif, Tarif. You will see it spelled nowadays Tariff. We'll tell you what that means in a second. Some of you, especially if you're not from the United States of America, but you speak English, some of you know what that is outright, right? But I'm going to say it for some of us who are living in the U.S., this word probably doesn't mean as much to you as what it should, at least yet. If you're in the Navy, or possibly you know what this word means, and if you're somebody who does a lot of stuff on ships, you probably know what this word means. But anyways, this is from a name. He sends a reconnaissance, right? So he sends a spy mission, if you will, of 500 into Spain, or even maybe not a spy issue, but just enough that they can kind of see what was going on. But he sends this reconnaissance of 500 into Spain, led by somebody named Tarif or Tarif. Tarif being what we call today an African. I want you to notice this stuff. And it's going to be important too. We're going to go into our Bible in a little bit. I haven't forgotten about the Bible in this, but we're going through some historical stuff, what we call historical items, right? To get historical truth. We don't want to live by half-truths and live by whole lies. But just roll with me for a second. It's going to become important because we're mentioning what these persons look like, because it's going to get us to a certain point. And we're going to see something very familiar in the look of these persons. But just hang in there with me. All right? So Musa sends a reconnaissance of 500 into Spain, led by somebody named Tarif or Tarif, nowadays we would say. Right? His name would have been Tarif or even Tariq or Tariq, right? But Tariq, right? You've heard of people with the name Tariq, right? They come from this Tarif or Tarif name. How you doing, One Keys? Thanks for being part of the community. All right. So Musa then gave him four ships, because you know, especially from the times of Carthage, from the times of Kemet, from the times of Cush, for the times of Mansa Musa, etc. We are considered to be some of the greatest. Even if you want to get into a lot of Polynesians, I want to hear that how they're also Austronesian and how there's a tie as well as Melanesian, right? But nevertheless, we've been seafarers quite a bit of our lives, right? We've done the water very well. We've traveled very well for many centuries, for many moons, okay? And they plundered. I'm sorry. Musa gave Tarif 4 ships. So Musa gives Tarif 4 ships, 4 vessels to use against Spain, or those who say that they are Spanish, but really are these Visigoths who've taken over. And they plundered a port, right? They plundered a port. What did they do? They plundered the port. In other words, they went, they conquered it, and they started taking from the port. They started taking stuff already. Okay, so they plundered the port. It's very important to catch. They plundered the port in Spain and called it Tarifa. Some of you have even heard names like Tariqa, Tariqa. That's a very Moorish, African, Israelite-ish. I can't say it's Israelite, but Israelite-ish type name, Muslim name, because they call this port Tarifa, named after Tarif or Tariq. Okay. And watch this now. Okay, so Tarif. What does Tarif's name mean? Well, Tarif. I'm sorry. Actually, what does tariff or Tarif mean nowadays? They say that a tariff or Tarif is a tax imposed by one country on the resources and services imported from another country to influence it, raise revenues, or protect competitive advantages. In other words, it's taxes. If you get a tariff, you get a tax. It's taxation. A lot of places they already know what this is, right? So Tarif, when you see Tarifa, if you ever go to Tarifa, it is a place to where Moors came over to get back what they considered to be their territory. They plundered one of the places that they conquered, and they took over it. And so from that point on, anytime you came to that port, you were coming to what? You were coming to Tarif. But it was named after the Tarif who was sent by Musa. Musa sends Tarif, and Tarif ends up what? Musa sends Tarif, and Tarif ends up making sure that he plunders it and makes sure that now you have to pay taxes to the Moors. They start taking what's theirs back. How you doing, Jared? Thanks for being on. Okay, so now you think of it as tariff. How you doing, Sister Snap? You think of it as tariff, as a tax. But the only reason why they call it tariff really is because it was something where you had to pay a tax to us in order to come into our borders. Now it's been appropriated. You better pay a tariff to them, a tax to them, in order to come into theirs. Okay. Amen. Anybody learning anything? Right? They are not who they say they are, and when you realize who they are, and you realize what happened, you have to realize who you are. Come on, somebody. Okay. All right. So in 1711, now we're skipping some, right? We have that there's a second army that's led by Tarif ibn Ziyad. Now we got a second army led by somebody named Tarif ibn Ziyad. So somebody named after Tarif is now coming in. He leads 6,700 soldiers. He takes 300 Arab translators, and if we be honest, also part of those translators are propagandists, which means that they're coming to lie. So that's why I said it can't be as simple as just, oh, everything African is always great. Propaganda is part of everybody's tactics. Propaganda can be truth now. Sometimes it's based off of truth. Sometimes it's outright lie, but he's a propagandist with them, which is, by the way, how you conquer folk. How you doing, Sister Deja? If you're gonna come to somebody's place, don't rock loud. That's why the first thing that you send before you saw anybody coming into the West and talking about Christianity and say right, they first sent what? Missionaries. You send the propagandists. And the missionaries, when they came over, they tell you, when you look at their teachings, even up to the 1800s, the missionaries, and look at their letters, they say specifically, hey, if you guys are coming over, even the early 1900s, for real, but they'll say, if you guys come over to Africa and you're going to speak this Christianity thing, you better know Old Testament because they uphold the scrolls over here. So you send the missionaries and the soldiers first. You get them to bow down to your version of what you've appropriated. And then once nobody's no longer inappropriate and they're only appropriate by what you said it is, then you begin to teach them the stuff. So same thing, the Moors, they came over and they made sure there's propaganda. And propaganda is not always a negative thing. I know somebody doesn't want to hear that. It's just like when we use these terms, be careful, right? When you hear somebody gentrified, you immediately go, ooh, right? Sometimes we should ask ourselves, why are we not gentrified? Wherever I live should look like me. Right? I don't just have this randomly back here. If I'm from Yehovah or Judah, then there is a lion of the tribe of Judah. Something should show up that verifies what I say, and something should show up in my life. My life should be gentrified. Okay? So if there's propaganda, there should be some things that's like, look, this is what we believe. And our children are going to be taught this. And our wives are going to teach this. And our husbands are going to teach this. And our people are going to live this. And our marriages are going to look a certain way. See, you've only learned propaganda as far as what the Germanic or the Gothics, the Visigoths did. And so Visigoths try to look at Hitler as if he's evil, but Visigoths love Hitler. Oh, that's weird. Why would you say that? No, Visigoth culture loves Hitler. Look at what JFK said in his diary about Hitler. JFK said that Hitler's a genius, and one day he'll be recognized as such. Look at what Ronald Reagan said about you, and see if it sounds like Hitler. Look at what Jewish persons did to you during the slave trade, and then had the audacity to say that you should feel worse about what Hitler did than about what they did to you. I'm not saying that we should applaud Hitler, no. But at the same time, you can't do me like I did Hitler and then ignore what you did to me, but then say that I should make sure that I protect you against him. You won't protect me from you. All right, I'm going to stop there. I'm going to get in trouble. Y'all know somebody going to try to mismanage what I just said. So anyways, Tariq ibn Ziyad. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. My Arabic is trash, I fully admit. Right? But Tariq ibn Ziyad. Amen. Yeah, they stole their identity. That's why we said today we're talking about what? They are not who they say they are. So since you do not know who you are, or they are, you really a lot of times don't know who you are. Thank you for the compliment. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. All right. So they sent these 6,700 soldiers and 300 Arab translators and propagandists and renamed this port, right, of Spain that they had been occupied. They started calling it the Rock of Tariq, or the Rock of Tarif, or of Tariff. The Rock of Tariq. This rock, right, is Tariq. Val Tariq, or Vail Tariq, or as you know it today, maybe you've heard of this place, it's called Gibraltar. A lot of persons say they'd like to go visit Gibraltar. Maybe you've heard of Gibraltar. Maybe you visited Gibraltar. Gibraltar is named after a Moor who came by and he made sure that they shored up what was theirs to take back what was theirs, and that place is called Gibraltar because it is the Rock of Tariq, the Rock of Tarif, the Rock of Tarif. So you learn a little bit more about who you are when you learn about who they actually are. I'm on. Right, everybody with us? Everybody still with us? I'm on. Okay, so here we go. So watch this. How you doing, Brother Craig? You been there? There you go, right? So that's where you were. You're at the Rock of Tariq, the Rock of Tarif, the Rock of Tarif, a place that belonged to the Moors. All right. Now here's an interesting part about when these Moors came through. Right? Because once again, we're taught, hey, Moor is not really what you think it is. This and that. Up. I knew it. They took me off TikTok. They said it was hate speech. Forgive me, I'm gonna make a video while we're on here. Uh, Forgive me, y'all gonna have to watch me make a video on here real quick. It is what it is, and then I'm gonna move over to Kofi_40, the original channel. So let me just do this real quick. I'm sorry, y'all. I told you I was gonna get in trouble for telling the truth. Shalom, everybody. Peace. This is Pastor Kofi. Real quick, before we jump over to Kofi_40, the original channel, somebody lied and said that they were being racist because we literally talked about history. And just to put it up on the screen, I know you have to reverse it, but just to put it up so you guys can see my notes. Literally, we talked about how persons had to be. We were talking about Gibraltar, what it's named after, and what Moors are, what they look like, right? And then we were just about to get into talking about how a European monk described us. So if you like to take screenshots of those things or whatever, real quick, and just kind of see what's going on. Sorry for my messy screen. But anyways, TikTok has decided to listen to somebody, or has decided just they heard certain keywords, whatever they do, and how they lie, to say that we were being giving hate speech by telling the truth about ourselves. So we'll be on the original channel, and we'll be on Kofi_42. Check us out there. Much love. Peace. All right. Sorry about that, y'all. So, yeah. Let me just make sure this loads up real quick, and then we can get going. Yeah, see, even when you preach the truth. So apparently they're saying TikTok's probably not going to fix it fast enough. So if you're looking for us anytime on TikTok, so if you're looking for us anywhere on TikTok, you're just going to have to. Sorry, I'm trying to. Well, anyways, if you end up looking for us anywhere on TikTok, for live sessions, we'll have to be on Kofi_40 or Kofi_42 for a little while. Okay. So, sorry about that. But, anyways, we'll try to get TikTok back up and going in a second. Probably just go to the original Kofi_40 channel. If you guys are coming over from TikTok, I'll let you guys know when we're back. But yeah, they didn't like what we were talking about. They said that I was giving hate speech. So, it's always interesting with this stuff. What time is it on here, by the way? Where are we at? 70. So I'll say, I'll go back and look at about the 65-minute portion, and we'll post that later to show everybody why TikTok says that we're trying to. They said that I was giving hate speech on TikTok, so they took it down. So we're gonna be back up on Kofi_40, the original channel, in just a sec. I was just making a quick video to let it be known to persons what happened to us. So if they're looking for us in the live session, they can look for us on Kofi_40, the original channel. It says we're supposed to be done, stopped till August 18th, so they basically gonna stop us for a week. So it is what it is. I'll try to make sure that people know that they can come find us over there, and prayerfully they will. It is what it is. All right. Who knows? Sometimes there's always a ram in the bush, right? So sometimes, literally, it builds up another channel and stuff sometimes when they do this stuff, so I appreciate it. But anyway, what we're talking about today, they are not who they say they are. Is what we're talking about. So we're on the original channel, I believe. And if you guys, when we put up the TikTok video, if you guys don't mind, feel free to go in the TikTok video and maybe put something in the chat, or even if you want to contact, it might be too much to keep contacting TikTok. Who knows if they'll care. Yeah, TikTok said that I had hate speech, so I did pop up. I am on TikTok on another channel, on the original channel. We'll see if that works and who comes on there. And I apologize. But hey, when you teach the truth, this comes with the territory. How you doing, Bradley? So it is what it is. But thank you, everybody, for remaining with us and rolling with us. It's been a rough day, signal-wise and stuff. Anyways, they were already looking at stuff. But hey. Did I post it? Yeah, I posted what we were talking about. I even showed on the screen what my notes are, that we were literally talking about it, what I was about to go into. So they would have been really mad about this next. But I thought for real, we were going to get kicked off for what's about to come on. You know, real talk. I thought like that was going to be the thing. Like if anything got him upset, was going to be what we're really about to discuss right now. But it is what it is. So, hello everybody. How you doing, Sister Ellen? But anyway, so back to what we were talking about. Yeah, truth equals freedom, which means that you got to be ready to be kicked out of their system, right? Yeah. So anyway, so they're saying I have hate speech. I made a little video about it. I'll try to make some videos throughout the week so persons know. And if you're coming on TikTok now, we'll be coming on this channel for the risings at least through really, I guess until, because the way they did it, I guess I can't even do it till next Monday, because it would have to be, if they're doing a week, then yeah, they wouldn't let me come back on until Sunday at like this time, so it wouldn't even be worth using on next Sunday. So I guess we'll be on this channel until Monday. Sorry about that, y'all. Sorry, not sorry. We're telling the truth. You kind of got to get ready for this stuff. But anyways, yeah. So they hit us with that. They said we're talking about hate speech because we're telling you the truth. You're not supposed to talk about this. If you talk about this, and you get cut. That's the way it works. Praise Yah. Amen. So that's why I say, I'll be telling persons, hey, if you want to go down this road, just be ready. It don't feel great all the time, but you start getting used to it. You start having joy when it happens, because you realize, well, dang, if I'm just telling the truth, then I must be doing something right. All righty. Amen. All right. So where were we at? So he led these 6,700 soldiers, 300 Arab translators, and propagandists, and renamed the port of Spain that they occupied the Rock of Tariq, or Gibraltar. All right, now here's where it gets interesting. This is where I thought we were going to pretty much be finished after this, so it's interesting. But this is where it gets interesting, and this is when we bring in the Bible. Because you know how in the Bible, there's a description of Christ. We'll go over John 1, 14 and 15 in a second. I'm sorry, John. We'll go over Revelation chapter 1, verses 14 and 15 in a second. But, you know, there's a scripture in the Bible that tells us exactly what our Messiah looked like, right? So it's important that we catch some things, because they keep telling you that you're just making stuff up. This stuff doesn't really matter. Why are you spending so much time on it? You know, does y'all really care? But why is it when we tell the truth that you want to pull us down and push us down and tell us all this stuff and shut us up? How you doing, Sister Jennifer? How you doing, Gertrude? Yeah, so by the way, once again, so for it looks like at least until Monday of next week, not tomorrow, but Monday of next week, we'll probably be doing our live sessions on this channel, and we'll still do our evening sessions. When we start our evening sessions back up tomorrow, we'll be on Kofi_42. Okay, so if you're looking for us on TikTok, come to the original TikTok channel, Kofi_40, the one with no number behind it, and the evening sessions will be Kofi_42, and then prayerfully we'll be able to get back on track with Kofi_43. But they've cut us off for a week, saying that me speaking on truth is hate speech. So we'll post later. I'll try to go to YouTube at some point later and literally just post what I actually said and show that it's crazy that we were called racist, or hate speech, which basically is saying that I was being racist. Alrighty, praise Yah. So sorry for yelling. All right, so here we go. So this is what a European monk, not Kofi, not a Moor, not a black person, not an Afrocentric person, not a person who hates you. This is what a European monk from the time period in which we're speaking of said about those who were Moorish and came in. A European monk said this. Now it's important because we're going to go to Revelation 1, 14 and 15 in a second, where they tell us that this stuff doesn't matter, right? But we're going to see some similarities and how they present the Moor to you and how they present the Christ to you. All right. So we're going to talk about a European monk. Who? A European monk. Who? A Moorish person? No. Who? Kofi? No. Who? A black man? No. Who? A European monk. How you doing, Sister Kimberly? A European monk from the time period said this of who? He said this of the Moors who were under Tarif ibn Ziyad, right? Who was sent to make sure that he shored up this place. The European monk from the time period said this about these 6,700 soldiers, Moorish soldiers, and 300 propaganda / Arab translators. So these 7,000 men that rolled together. This is what a European monk said about it. He said they looked like this, or this is what he described what he saw. He said the reins of their horses were as fire. All right, peep game now. Don't miss this up. The reins of their horses were as fire. Their faces black as pitch. What did he say? The reins of their horses were as fire. Their faces black as pitch. Now, we just finished our rainbow series, and we talked about the promise of the rainbow. Therefore, we talked about the ark, and one of the things we did was talk about the building of the ark. And one of the things that we talked about extensively was even the pitch. It says to put the pitch on the inside and the outside of the ark. Now, if you do some research, or if you've ever made pitch before, what you'll discover is, in order to make pitch, you chop down the tree. Now, pitch is supposed to be what you use to make something waterproof, and also to make sure it's like glue, right? Now, I haven't finished this, but we haven't finished this, but this is, we still got to put the siding and everything on, right? But this is, Solomon's ark, right? We got a little window up top, all that. We got the stuff on the bottom. But if you notice, we haven't finished putting glue in certain things in certain places, but we're going to put some hot glue and maybe even put some water stuff to make it waterproof. The hot glue should make it waterproof anyways, but we might put some waterproof stuff on it because we're going to try to attempt to make it float. And what we're going to do is the hot glue and even some of the waterproof stuff, it's going to be what? Pitch. It goes in between. Now, we're going to use a bunch of popsicle sticks to make sure that there's no holes first. And we're going to board it up this way on all the sides. But you put the pitch, and we're supposed to put it on the inside, the outside, and if we were making rooms on the inside, you would even put the pitch on the inside as well, right? So when you cut the wood, right, when the ark is cut, you cut the wood for the ark, but there's parts of the ark that the wood on the inside would look orange. And the wood that looks orange is what you would burn to make the pitch or the tar, right? You would burn it at a certain amount of heat, and then as it burns up, it becomes tar, right? And you take that tar. Tar is black and gooey. The pitch is black and gooey. So when this European monk from that time period is talking about the Moors, he says specifically the reins of their horses were as fire and their faces black as pitch. We're talking about way darker than I, right? Right? We're talking about their faces darker possibly than my hair. These men already being dark and then being in the sun all day, every day. It says their faces were black as pitch. Okay. All right, so something burned in the fire. Hold on to that. How you doing, Bruder Richard? Right? So their faces black as pitch. And what? Their eyes shone like burning candles. And their eyes lit up like burning candles. Who's being described as this, by the way? Now watch this. How do your eyes, I don't think persons recognize this. Why would one's eyes look like burning candles? Not just because they're angry. Don't get cartoonish, right? His eyes were like fire, and they burned, and blah, blah, blah. Like sometimes that can be the case. But think about this. How does one have eyes that seem to light up like candles? What would make that happen? What would make that happen? For one's eyes to burn like candles. Come on, because they're very black. Y'all heard those jokes before. Man, he's so black, put him in the room, turn on the light and smile. See, you'll see him. Tell him, open his eyes, you'll see him. Right? You heard the jokes before. Okay? So his eyes, right, are like candles because in comparison to his skin, they light up. All right. Yeah, they blue black, which is actually some persons out there known as blue black, someone known as even green black. But there's a group of Nigerians specifically that are known as blue black. There's many of them actually. Yeah, TikTok went off because they said we were doing hate speech, so I'm on another TikTok channel. I'm on the original one. They said we were giving hate speech when we were giving the truth. So here it is that there's a European monk who says that their horses were as fire, their faces black as pitch, so their eyes shone like burning candles. The next thing he says is their horses were swift as leopards, right? Swift as leopards. That means that their horses were fast. Which, by the way, also too, if you know what goes on with Israel, Israel had horses. I know a lot of y'all forget that, but Israel was known for horses. See, But I'm just trying to give you some stuff because we're going to talk about Revelation. We're going to come over here in a second. So hold on, wait a minute. Their horses were swift as leopards, and the riders fiercer than a wolf in a sheepfold at night. In other words, their riders, we were more afraid of them than a sheep would be afraid of a wolf in the middle of the night. Right? That's what they're telling you. We would be more afraid of them, right, than a sheep would be afraid of a wolf in the middle of the night. He could have just said, we'd be more afraid of them than the sheep would be afraid of a wolf. He could have stopped there. But then he said, not only that, but then imagine a sheep hearing a wolf and seeing wolves in the middle of the night. What would a sheep do? And he's even giving indicators of stuff. Because look, we know that we are Yahweh's sheep, but hear what I'm saying. He's trying to give you indication. He's talking about sheep with what? Whitish wool, white wool, and what? And black persons. He's giving you an indication of what's going on. Remember, this is not just, even history is propaganda. There's nothing wrong with propaganda if it's true, but this person's trying to give it to persons and trying to say, hey man, when we dealt with these Moors, the ones who are our enemies, they are black. They're blackety black. Their eyes are like fire. When their rains are going through and they're orange and red rains and they're riding and stuff and you see this wave going through, it's like looking at fire. And their horses are swift. And when they fight, they're worse than wolves in the midst of sheep in the middle of the night. You see what I'm saying? This is literally what's going on. That's what he's saying. He's literally saying this, all this stuff. This is propaganda. You have to realize how the story of mankind works and how they rewrite this stuff on purpose. Now watch this. And then he ends by saying, the noble Goths. Propaganda. The noble Goths. Who are the Goths? Who are the Visigoths? The Visigoths are the Germanic ones. They are the Spanish ones. They are the Englishmen. This is who they come from, Visigoths. He says the noble Goths. This is the monk who's talking about his own Spanish persons, his own Spanish people. He says the noble Goths were broken in an hour, in a 2-hour period, because the hour back then still wasn't 24 hours yet. It wasn't based off of your 24 hours yet. So he says the noble Goths were broken in an hour quicker than tongue can tell. He says, I can't even explain how fast they lost. And then he said, he ends by saying, oh, luckless Spain. We had no luck. There was nothing we could do. We were just overrun. Wow. That's the part. So that part and this part is what I thought I was going to get in trouble for. Because now this part they're really not gonna like, and I'm gonna end it here because I know I'm pushing it. Right? I know I'm pushing it. Right? They don't want you to know truth. They don't want you to even hear a truth. They don't even want you to hear the reality of something. Right? Not one thing that I've told you is wrong, irresponsible, a lie, and I told it to you from their perspective. I told it to you from his story, not even our story. His story lines this up. But let's look at our story. Let's look at Yahweh's story. Revelation chapter 1, verse 14 and 15. Now we're going to see some things that are really close-knit, and I'm going to try to be somewhat close. Y'all pray for me, moderators, if you can help me out if you see any kind of weird activity. Because this is the part that I thought was going to be off the chain as far as what we're going to deal with. But apparently, a person couldn't even handle just the beginning of us saying, like, we are who we say we are, and you're not who you say you are. So, here's the part that really we need to know and walk away with. Revelation chapter 1, verse 14, 15. Thank you for the love. Right? Tadach. Revelation 1, 14 and 15, they're really not going to like this thing. Revelation 1, 14 and 15, it says this. It says, his head. Who is he, by the way? The Messiah. It says his head and hairs were white like wool, right? So they're of woolly texture. If they're white like wool, it just means he's got some age on them, right? So his hairs were white like wool. Okay, no problem, like wool. Who has hair like wool? I wonder, right? But then it goes further and it says, watch this. Here's some similarities to what we just heard. It says, Not only it was white like wood, it was as white as snow, and his eyes were as a flame of fire. Wait a minute. Time out. When he talked about the Moors, this is what the European monk said. He said, the reins of their horses were as fire, their faces black as pitch, their eyes shone like burning candles. Why? Because against their black skin, their eyes lit up. Now, wait a minute. Here it says that Yehoshaphat's eyes were as a flame of fire. And verse 15 starts off by saying, and his feet like unto fine brass. But it doesn't just stop there, because it says his feet are as fine brass as if they burned in a furnace. Now, when you go back to what the European monk said about the Moorish persons, he said that their faces were black as pitch. Once again, what is pitch? Pitch is when you take a certain type of wood and you burn it at quite a few hundred degrees. I think you got to do it at least at 700 or 800 degrees Fahrenheit. Right? Some persons say you should go way above that, but you have to burn the pitch for a long time so that it becomes tar. And the more it burns, the longer it burns, the more it becomes tar, the more it becomes pitch, the blacker, the darker it gets. Well, here in Revelation chapter 1, verse 15, it says that his feet were like unto fine brasses. They burned it in a furnace. They took the brass and continued to burn it and burn it and burn it and burn it until it was so black that his eyes, in comparison to the skin, was like what? Was like fire. Just like the same way they said about the Moors. Oh my greatness. No wonder they have to cancel this stuff. No wonder they cut us off. They got to. This is true. So you're telling me that King James 11 version, right? 1611 King James version, King James version, New King James version, all these versions of your Bible, right? Starting in 1600s. Not too far after the Moors are going to end up losing, the Visigoths, the Gothic persons, the Germanic persons who you call Spanish, that's how they looked at the Moors. Around the same time that we're going to see the Bible describe Christ to look the same way. Now we know that that was written right over 1,000 years before that, but hear what I'm saying. They told the truth. Even in the propaganda, we see that they told truth. Yeah, they must have forgotten to take that part out, right? Even in the propaganda, they told the truth. Why don't we believe them? Is my question. Why do we not believe them? We should just believe them. We should honor them at their word. They told you straight up, this is what the Moors look like. The Bible tells you straight up, this is what Christ looks like. Matter of fact, it told you that Christ had to be hidden in Kemet. Matter of fact, it told you Moses had to be hidden in Kemet. Matter of fact, it told you that Joseph ended up not being recognized by his brothers while he was second in command of Kemet. They are not who they say they are. And when you realize that, you realize that you are not who they say they are. This is one of the biggest secrets that will ever be there. Not the secret of, oh, Christ is black. Yeah, we got that. Right? We got that part. We don't really need to, we don't really need to see, somebody give us that or whatever. Like, we got the part that Christ was, in fact, somebody of color. But they don't want you to believe. Remember, for the longest time, it's been a secret. It's supposed to have been a secret. You're not supposed to realize and recognize. You're never supposed to come into the knowledge. Right? You weren't supposed to come into that knowledge. That you are of the same ilk. That you deserve respect. That the Negro is important. You were supposed to never find that out. Never. The hidden ones, the hidden gems. The web gem, you catch it on now. They don't like it. Right? They are not who they say they are. they are not who they say they are. And when we believe that, then we know that we don't have to take them at their word. Right? That's the part, to be honest with you. If they were going to cancel us for anything, they should have stopped that. I guess they figured they stopped it. But we were able to move to another channel. But, you know, if they were going to stop anything, that should have been the part. You see that, all that together. And if you missed some of it or whatever, recall, we have these recorded. So you can go on the podcast, you can go on Facebook, you can go on YouTube, and you can make sure you get these recordings. But if anything, they should have they messed up. You took us down. TikTok, you took us down for the wrong part. You should have took us down for this part right here. You shouldn't want anybody to know that they're disconnected to Christ. And you shouldn't want you shouldn't look for the smoking gun. You shouldn't be sitting there saying, "Oh man," like you shouldn't allow that. See, once you know this stuff, it's hard to go back. You can't tell me that this is what the modern, or not even modern, but this is the type of persons, monks, the type of persons who would have been the scribes and wrote this out in the King James Version, who described what the Moors looked like, described that Christ and the Moors looked like each other. They shouldn't let you see that. I mean, we should know that, but they shouldn't let you see that, because then you have to start saying, "Oh, so you're not who you say you are." You don't even tell the truth. You tell me that Christ's color wasn't changed, but you told me that you knew what his color was in 1611, in 1591, in 1560. Because the King James Version is not the only version in English. Too late, right? Yeah. So anyways, I hope that you guys got something out of today. I really wasn't going to go that long today. They got us right as we were getting ready to get off. But once again, if you're looking for us on TikTok now, just know that we're going to be on the original TikTok channel. Kofi_Ofori without the numbers. We'll probably have to be on there till Monday unless they actually do what they're supposed to do. The way TikTok works is eventually they'll take down the stuff and be like, "Oh, okay, yeah, you didn't do hate speech," but they'll wait until after they've still had us off a week. So if you guys would like to, I'm probably going to make a couple other videos about it, because I'm going to have to make sure that everybody knows why we're over in the other channel and everybody knows to go over there. So just in case. And if somebody's, by the way, if you want to send them a message, just let them know, hey, we're going to be on the original channel for a while. We'll probably be kicking it over there at least until, it looks like, until August 19th. So it is what it is, right? So prayerfully you guys can join us over there. I thank you, love you, hope that you guys take care. We'll go back to our regularly scheduled program tomorrow with our, what is that with? I'm sorry. We'll go back to our regularly scheduled program tomorrow concerning, our weekly regional meetings. Ministerial staff, I'm going to try and send you guys some messages and stuff, because you guys are going to kind of be the ones in charge of them, and whatever you guys want to do, speak, etc. And so everybody be ready. Tomorrow is going to be the Northeast region. So once again, that's like what, Maine, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Delaware, West Virginia, Maryland, Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey. I think I said DC. Anything up in there, you guys know what I'm saying, right? So that should be tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern New York time. We'll be back on track with our live session. So our live sessions, 8 a.m. Eastern New York time, will be on the original Kofi_40 channel. Our evening sessions will be on the Kofi_42 channel, and we will still have our evening sessions and our men's meetings on the 16th and the 17th. I will not be there on the 16th and 17th. I'll be getting stuff started, but I won't be there due to the fact that we have a family commitment, and more than likely, especially for the men. I know I won't be around the 16th and early on the 17th, but possibly on the evening I won't be there on the 17th as well. But we'll make sure we have ministerial staff already ready to go. So please, ma'am, please, sir, show up. Still be supportive, still get a word. I'm not the only person that can preach truth, right? I don't have a monopoly on the truth, so prayerfully go join us for those. If you're on YouTube or something like that, we'll try to still make sure we're recorded. Not sure about Facebook, but the podcast and YouTube should still be able to be recorded and everything. It'll just be audio only. So if you want to come on and listen to audio only, feel free. But we will have those days filled and others to make sure that they give a word. So prayerfully, you guys can join us on those days. And then I'll be here basically for the rest of the day through Thursday evening, and then Friday I gotta take care of some family stuff. Not even necessarily a break. We got family stuff that we gotta do. So hopefully you guys will take care during that time. Thank you for VBS this past week. Thank you for being part of this Rainbow series and everything. It's been a blessing. Prayerfully you got something out of this word, even though it was all over the place with them trying to mess us up and dismiss us and everything. And also too, something else. I'm sorry, y'all. There was something else. Oh, today, this afternoon, 2:00 p.m. Eastern New York time. Please, ma'am, please, sir. YouTube channel is called #FindKofi. Matter of fact, a lot of my videos, if you look at a lot of the posts, you'll see in the description #FindKofi. Find like you're looking for something, and Kofi, my name, Kofi. That's the name of the YouTube channel. But today, this afternoon, 2:00 p.m. Eastern New York time, Ministry Elisha has a meetup, a group for us. It's called When Life Happens, and it helps us be able to talk through some things. Maybe even if you're going through some things, you need to talk something out or just get something off your chest. It's a safe space, and it's a nice little place for us to kind of come together. We do it every other Saturday, every other Sunday, excuse me. And today, this Sunday, is when we're supposed to meet up. So if you'd like to meet up with us, I'm going to be there. I'm going to send out everything. You should get a Google Calendar invite. If not, just let us know. But you should get one, and prayerfully you'll be there with us. I'll be there. I don't know if I'll even be able to speak, but I'm coming to get a word and get some stuff for myself too and get fed. So prayerfully we can do that and uplift what she's doing in the kingdom. It's a very important part of what we do, and I know there's many of us going through a lot of different things. So why not have us come together and be a safe space for each other and a shoulder to lean on and all that great stuff. Okay, so thank you all. Appreciate, love you. Take care. Do great things. Do awesome. Thank you for the love. Thank you for being faithful, rolling with us in different places and all that stuff that we had to do today, and we too often have to do, unfortunately. If you can, I'm not demanding it or anything. I'm asking if you were able to. It would really help me to kind of, when TikTok does this stuff, when I post these things after and be like, why are you guys flaking off on us or whatever, it helps if you guys don't mind maybe even going in the comment section when we post some of this stuff throughout the week and just kind of just be like, yeah, TikTok, I was there was no hate speech at TikTok, or hey, this is what he was talking about at TikTok or something, even if you want to make complaints. I don't know if you need to go that far, but even if you just come in the description and do something, it just helps us so that when TikTok sees this stuff happen and persons that are normally there, we be able to make sure that it's taken care of. Because really what more than likely happened is TikTok has keywords that they don't like, and I said them too many times, or somebody who just doesn't like the fact that I was telling you guys the truth lied and said that we were giving hate speech. So if you see me make those comments on Kofi_43, I can still post things. I just can't go live until not tomorrow, but the following Monday. So if you see me make some posts on it, if you don't mind saying a little something here and there, I'd greatly appreciate it. Appreciate you doing so. All right, thank you all. Take care. Have a great day, a awesome day. Hopefully we'll see you at 2 p.m. Eastern New York time. And until next time, we give our honor and praise to the Most High. We give our praise and honor to them for my wife, the Honorable Amma. Take care of yourselves. We're going to do a quick shout out, or we're going to do the shout out in just a little bit. So prayerfully you guys can stay on for that. And we hope that you guys have a great day. So peace be upon each and every one of you. Those parents who want to send in some stuff to us, please let us. Please feel free to. I'm gonna give you guys maybe a week or a couple weeks to get it in, so we can try and make a little video and make some posts and stuff to show what the babies did this week, and even what some of you adults. I know some adults, if you want to share some stuff, put your stuff in the shirts or show your shirt that you got. And we appreciate it. Love you. Take care. We honor you. Thank you to the ministerial staff. Thank you to everybody who was on Ministerial Prayer This Rising. Thank you for being involved in truth, and thank you for being supportive, even in the midst of those who would try to break down. Those of us who just simply want and yearn and need and crave reality, not just virtual reality, but making that which is virtual reality and making that which is honest reality. So this has been Pastor Kofi, Pastor Servant to Christ, where we are always changing lives one mind at a time by being a voice of the voiceless and speaking the unspoken. You are in the shirt right now, cool. And until we have a chance to be before you again, please remember as always that you are loved, You're necessary. You're majestic. You're fearfully and wonderfully made, and you, which is all of us working together, will be the reason why people who are in this system no longer have to be of it. Shalom to everybody. Take care. I love you all to life. If you were